Hello, this is Alan, Lonely Bookshelf here with Bookshelf Library Tour number 3. Right here, there's some books that stack behind the ones I just took out. So let's get started. The first one is The Life and Campaigns of Lieutenant DJ Stonewall Jackson by Ariel Dabney. This is a Sprinkle publication. It came out in 1983. There's a picture of Lieutenant General DJ Stonewall Jackson, and I've dipped into pages of this. I'm not really interested in the Civil War, and in fact, I've only read like 2 books on the Civil War. But R.L. Dabney was the chief of staff to Stonewall Jackson, and Dabney was a Calvinist, and he taught, preached in the Presbyterian churches, the Calvinistic churches. He's written a systematic theology, which I used to have. I probably still do. But he was, and I just read this just a minute ago. He said there was a biblical righteousness to slavery, which means that, yeah, you should have slaves. Biblical righteousness in the Bible, it talks about slaves or servants, but they're only supposed to be there for 7 years. And that's it. And then they're freed to go on. Or unless they're married, unless they want to stay, then their ears pierced with an awl. That's what the Lord says pertaining slavery. So you're supposed to let them go. But Dabney didn't want to let him go. The next one is, and I don't know why I got this, is Wordsworth by Stephen Gill. This is Oxford Press. And let's see when this came out. It came out in 1989. I have not read this one yet. This is not that big. It's only 450 pages. I bought this at a thrift store, and there are lines through it here, and also there's a little letters page, as you can see, and it says Wordsworth and Coleridge. Sir, Norman Farnham's case against Coleridge rolls through all things, including misreading of Stephen Gill's New Life of Wordsworth, May 5th to 11th. This is from the Times Literary Supplement. Excuse me. He argues that Gill's work hinges on a drastic revisionary interpretation that sees almost everything of value in Wordsworth's poetic careers as linked to the commanding influence of Coleridge, whereas given or take that loaded and unfounded commanding the view describing touristic and represents the established opinion of all Wordsworth's major biographies, including those he refers to most approvingly, G.M. Harper and Mary Moorman. As regards to who dominates in Harper, does not suffer Coleridge's shortcomings gladly and insists on Wordsworth as an innovator, discriminates rather than confuses relative strengths, defining Wordsworth's vision as, quote, of the imagination rather than the reason, end of quote, as Gill shows with quiet but sure emphasis that makes his book so authoritatively balanced. Wordsworth's philosophical poetry from the Oxfordian years through the whole unfolding and collapse of the Recluse project was indeed for good and ill inextricably linked to Coleridge's change in philosophical discourse, which Wordsworth first joyfully simulated and later pleaded for and paid. The intermediate opening, which Wordsworth brought to Coleridge, early religious language, is what makes the related poetry so impressive. But it continually bears out Wordsworth's own simple acknowledgement that Coleridge was one of the two beings to whom my intellect is most indebted. It is, of course, Freeman's own near-failing belittlement of Coleridge's achievement that has remained challenging and aristocratic over the years, and would be regrettable if the status of Gill's book as the current standard biography were to get damaged along with Freeman's much fallen Archangel. And that's by Kenneth Hanley, who was University of Lancaster. And someone had written down up here that this book contains 230,000 words. So, yeah, and I'll get to this eventually, as do we all. The next one is also a thrift store book, and this is The Private Life of Chairman Mao by Dr. Li Sheen Shishu, translated by Ta Hong Chow, forward by Anthony Nathan. I'll get to this one eventually. The author is descended from a long line of his doctor. His great-grandfather was a physician. The Chinese emperor, Dr. Li, received his MB in 1945 and 1950, became the top secret medical facility that serves Mao Zedong. Inner circle, Dr. Li was Chairman Mao's personal physician from 1954 until the chairman's death in 1976. And there's a little part here towards the back. This is when Richard Nixon visited, former President Nixon visited China for the first time. American president ever visited China. And it was also opera named after it. And Chairman Mao said, beyond Japan is the United States. The ancestors counseled and negotiated with faraway countries while fighting with those that are near. And he goes, I was aghast. Our newspapers were filled with vitriolic attacks against the United States. China was offering aid to Vietnam, now struggling in this war against the United States. How can we negotiate with the United States? I asked incredulously. The United States and Soviet Union are different, Mao explained. The United States has never occupied Chinese territory. America's new president, Richard Nixon, is a longtime rightist, a leader of the anti-communists there. I like to deal with rightists. They say what they really think, not like the leftists, who say one thing and mean another. So that's the private life of Chairman Mao. The next one is, get a drink here. The next one is Walt Disney, The Triumph of the American Imagination by Neil Gaber. You can see this is my bookmark here. That's where I stopped. Yeah, and this is a very big biography. It is over 630 pages, and it's very good. It shows the struggles that Walt Disney was having, his abusive father, his imagination, what he wanted to do. His parents were all opposed to it, and everything. And so far, it's very good. It's one of the best ones ever. This is by Vintage Press. The next one is a very short one, as it's only 200 pages. excuse me, there's notes on here. This is Dietrich Bonhoeffer and by Michael Van Dyke, and it's put out by, let me see, this is one of those short books, Barber Publications, and I just read the Eric Little biography is by the same publishing company. So this was put out in 2001. I've read about Dietrich Bonhoeffer before, but I have not read this one. The next one is, the next several of them are going to be classical composers. And this is Mozart by Maynard Solomon, excuse me. This is by HarperCollins. And this one came out in 1995. I have not read this one yet, and I heard this one was a very good biography of Mozart. And there's 519 pages in this, with a lot of photographs, a lot of text, composer's text in here. There's opening lines to Mozart's Cantata K619 with the undogmatic acceptance of every deity. You who revere the creator of the balanced universe, come Jehovah God, come Fu of Brahma, hark to the words of the Almighty's trumpet call, ringing out through earth, moon, sun, its sounds is everlasting. Yeah, this would be a very good read, and I'll get to that pretty soon. The next one is a recent purchase. This is Bela Bartok. I've shown this before. This is David Cooper, and this is the Yale University Press. Hungarian composer. And this one came out in 2015 now. So you have a lot of illustrations, and there's a lot of notes in the back. Oh, that's Bela Bartok. I'm a like, by the way. And this one has gotten so many rave reviews, and when it came out, and everyone liked it. And this one is Music in the Castle of Heaven, by John Elliott Gardner, the conductor, now Sir John Elliott Gardner, portrait of Johann Sebastian Bach. I have read this one. And this is actually a thrift store book buy, and it said excellent on the when I bought it, and it's not in excellent condition at all. So as you can tell, this spine right there is kind of cracked. This one actually came out in 2013. This is the next one. Introduction to Bach. As Sir John Elliott Gardner only focuses on two of the Bach works. One of his masses. The Passion. And another one on forgot which one the other one is. But this is this shows the this graph. It actually shows the, let me go read it again. Newly composed works, older works revived, parodies of secular cantatas composed in Cawthon, series of 9 cantatas with text, and 3 new cantatas. So this is what he does. Bach did over 1 year period. And there's a couple more here, a couple more graphs This is his first cycle. This one right here. Entitled cycle. And this is a Lutheran liturgical year here. The calendar. So it was good. I really enjoyed this. Excuse me. The next one is Michael Musgrave, and this is the Brahms Reader. And of course, it's very short by Yale University Press. And this one is came out in the year 2000. This is very short, little biography, 207 pages. It's good for someone who is just want a short introduction. There's a frontispiece of his German Requiem, which is played quite often, and so that's Brahms a Reader. Next one I have read, this is George Friedrich Handel, A Life with Friends by Ellen T. Harris. This is a library copy, and which I purchased when they had a book sale, which they still had one, by W.W. Norton and Company. Came out in 2014. And Elaine T. Harris, professor emeritus at MIT, served on music facilities at Columbia University and University of Chicago. She also wrote a book called Hand on Orpheus. But like I said, this one's very good. Or what I didn't say. Like the other ones, this is a very good short, a very good introduction into George Friedrich Handel. And it gives you some insights into the composer rather than just focusing on the music, because Handel was involved with a stock company. I think it was a canned fruit or something like that, in which he lost a lot of money. So, and yeah, it's very good. It was an excellent little short biography. So, A Life with Friends, George Friedrich Handel by Elaine T. Harris. The next one, the next one is by the daughter of the composer. This is Tatiana Rimsky-Korsakov. This is Rimsky-Korsakov, Letters to His Friends and Family and Friends. This is by Amadeus Press, and this one came out in 2016. And basically what it is just a series of letters, correspondence going back and forth, to letters and friends, and talking about experiences and everything else. Dear Mr. Rimsky-Korsakov, your father has given me a toy trumpet to practice with, but not to keep. Now I've found myself in serious difficulty. Your father asked me to return it as soon as possible, but your mother does not like noisy toys in general. Asked me to keep it as long as possible. I'm finding it difficult to fulfill both wishes at the same time. I decided to ask you for your help with this difficult matter. I'm looking forward. Accordingly, forwarded the Trump toy to you and authorized you to deal with it with the exercise of your best judgment. And the response is, Sir, I have done my best to carry out the honorable duty you laid before me. I have given the toy to my father in order not to disturb the mother. He doesn't like no noisy toys. My father's so fond of. Father sent it to the toy shop from which it had been originally purchased. So, you get small things like that. Little short letters and things because, yeah. The next one is, this is going pretty long. I will sing unto the Lord a history of English church music, but with a new preface by Andrew Gaunt. This is by University of Chicago Press. And this one came out. This one came out in 2017. And I haven't started this one yet. I bought it last year at the thrift store. And you have different photographs of Samuel Wesley, Ralph Williams, who wrote a lot for the church. And here's some paintings, people in the church. But yeah, I thought it'd be, I got it because I was in the church choir, and I like the old hymns in the churches. Next one I've shown on the channel before, on my IG channel. This is M.T. Anderson's book on Demetrius Jostkovitz Symphony for the City of the Dead. And this past Thursday was the anniversary of the end of the blockade in Leningrad, so that's what this is about. And there's a little page in here. September 1941, Adolf Hitler's Weimar surrounded Leningrad in what was become one of the longest and most destructive sieges in Western history. 2.5 years of bombardment and starvation, more than 1 million citizens perished. Survivors recall corpses littering the frozen streets, the relatives of the dead, and when neither the means nor the strength to bury them, just desperate citizens burned books, furniture, and floorboards to keep warm. They are family pets, and eventually even one of those stayed alive. Trapped beneath the Demetrius Jostkovitz would write a symphony for the rallied, eulogized, commemorated his fellow citizens. The Leningrad Symphony. The testament of the courage was copied on microfilm, driven across the Middle East, flown in the deserts of North Africa to be formed in the United States, where it played a surprising role in strengthening the great alliance against the Axis powers. I have no idea what this is. Oh, that must have came from my CD. Certainly. The last one I bought 2020. Every time I would say 2020, I would say 2000. 2020 was Beethoven Life, the anniversary, which was the anniversary. This is Jean Cahiers, and this was put out by University of California Press. And I have not read this one yet. And they were supposed to have a lot of celebrations in Beethoven's birth. I believe it was his 200th birth. And correct me if I'm wrong about that. Yeah, there were a couple of Beethoven biographies that came out the same year. I like this one because of the cover. There was one that came out which said that, had a line in it that said, well, even though he was dead, Beethoven's, it said, just a moment, sorry about that, even though he was dead, he was still composing his greater works later on. So that's it. That's for the shelf tour number 3. Hope you enjoyed this, and comment down below. And thank you for watching.